Welcome to the Real Food RN Wellness Podcast, the show that empowers you to open your eyes and mind to embrace a healthful life and take your health into your own hands. With topics like detoxing, basic foundational complete nutrition, and essential oil studies and uses, you found the perfect place to start your journey to better all-around health for you and your family. Here you'll discover how to equip yourself to live healthy on your terms with your host and RN, Kate.
Orleatha is a wife and a homeschooling mother of 2 children. She is the chief creative officer and co-founder of 20 Dishes, a business dedicated to helping people get dinner on the table in 30 minutes or less using a proven system of curated meal plans, customized shopping lists, and hand-picked recipes, and our step-by-step meal prep guide. Orleatha is a Czech-trained holistic lifestyle coach. She holds a degree in secondary science education, a biology teaching credential, and a master's degree in education. She is also a certified facilitator for CoV 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and she has been featured in popular publications such as First for Women magazine, the Los Angeles Times, and in the Paleo Miracle 50 Real Stories of Health Transformation. So, I want to welcome Orleatha to the show. She is the creator and founder of 20dishes.com, amongst all the many other things that you do. So I just want to go ahead and get started with, tell me a little bit about your story.
So my story, how I came to real food, is that I was, first of all, I've been sick most of my entire life. And so I thought, and I was always like the chubby kid until I got to like junior high school when I sort of thinned out a bit. But then after that, I went right back into being sort of chunky. And then that sort of spiraled into being obese and then morbidly obese. And that was before like I had kids. And then I had kids. And we all know that that does not help. Mm-hmm. So I thought that like most people, that weight was an indicator of health. And so if I was obese and covered in eczema and having asthma attacks, and they all had to be linked to me being obese. So I tried Weight Watchers and I tried Lindora and all, like anything you could think of. I even tried something like a grape diet where all I ate was grapes all day. Oh. That was crazy. So I would lose the weight, but then I would gain it back. And so then my doctor is like, look, after this, I had a physical and he's like, you are going to die if you don't lose weight. And he's like, your numbers are crazy, you're pre-diabetic and all these other things that I thought were just all, okay, if I lose the weight, everything will be great. So I had gastric bypass at his suggestion, and I lost weight. I lost a lot of weight. I did not realize that I was still sick, still covered in eczema, still having sinus infections chronically, still having tendonitis in my Achilles heel, which made it a horrible mess to work out. Still just sick. Hormones were just nutty, out of control. It was just bad. And I was skinny. So I was like, well, what's going on? I'm thin. What's wrong? And then I started to gain weight. And I was like, oh my God, what's going on? I'm still sick. Yeah. And now I'm weight back. And so I had a friend who's like, you should try this Whole30 with me. Let's do it together. And I was like, well, might as well. I mean, I had diet mentality. So I looked at it as another diet. And so I did it, but I didn't realize how much better I was going to feel. And I felt just amazing. Skin started to clear. Asthma, I haven't had an asthma attack since I did that first Whole30. I haven't had a sinus infection since I did that first Whole30. And that was, 5-6 years ago.
Wow. So one Whole30 cleared up that much stuff.
Oh, I did a Whole30 for a whole year.
Well, oh my God.
I just kept going. I just kept going. I was like, I feel this great. There's no way that I'm going to go back to the way that I was eating. And then I was like, okay, I'm in the kitchen all the time. Like all the time. I feel like I lived in the kitchen. And so I was like, I got to find a way to make this easier. And that's where 20 Dishes came from, because I was like, I still want to eat real food. I still want to eat clean. I do not want to be married to my kitchen because my husband's not going to really appreciate it if I'm married to my kitchen, So I had to come up with something easier. And that's where 20 Dishes came from. And so that's, in a nutshell, my entire story shoved into 2 minutes.
So tell me a little bit about your experience, because you had gastric bypass.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about like tell me a little bit about your story. Like I worked in the float pool, obviously, and I would float to the gastric bypass units. And I found that they were some of the most emotionally distraught people. Like there's a strong component, and I've heard of this too, where people will keep on the weight because they don't want to be seen. It's like
Right.
it's like an emotional protection. And so our unit actually started addressing the emotional component to it. So what was your initial reaction when your doctor suggested that to you? And then did you have an emotional component to deal with?
So my doctor, first when he suggested it to me, I was like, yes, because I don't want to die. I have 2 small children. I'm married. Don't want to leave my family. So I'm sure you've heard the saying that people change when the pain of staying the same is no longer greater than the pain of changing. And so for me, the pain of changing was like, okay, well, I got to pick one. And so I picked change, even though having the weight on that was my like protection blanket. It was my safety blanket. And so once I lost the weight and I got all this attention, I was like, oh my God, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Like, I don't like this at all. I don't want the attention. I don't want to feel this way at all. Like, so I had a lot of emotional issues. I had to go through a lot of therapy. I use EFT a lot still because I still struggle there with the emotional side and the, feeling pretty and realizing that it had nothing to do with weight. You're a beautiful person. You are worthy of love, that kind of thing. That was not there for me. Like I didn't feel worthy of anything. I was like, I have to earn everything. And then when people would say things like you took the easy way out, that was another like blow because it's so not easy. It was the hardest. It was like, it's one of the hardest decisions I've ever made. And then it was one of the hardest things I've ever done and continue to do. I still struggle with nausea for no reason. With a lot of the side effects that come with gastric bypass, I still have. My surgeon removed the part of my stomach that creates ghrelin, which makes you hungry, the hunger hormone. So I don't get hungry. I have no hunger feelings. Never. I haven't been hungry in 5 years.
Wow.
Or however long, 7 years, because my daughter is about to be 9. So I haven't been hungry in 7 years. I don't know what that feels like. The only time that I know that I need to eat is either I have a timer on my phone that tells me to eat, or I get really angry.
Oh, yeah, because your blood sugar's tanking.
I should probably eat, So that's another thing. It's like there are so many things that you don't know about. Like the mental aspect is huge, which is why I take such good care of my gut now and I know that it's because, we've altered our guts. You've taken a big chunk of your gut out, and that's the second brain. And so now you have to work double time to keep your gut healthy, to keep your brain healthy, to keep your body healthy, to stay in a good frame of mind. The suicide rate after gastric bypass is just ridiculous. The divorce rate is ridiculous. It's just like, it's this mental thing that you don't realize is going on because you're sick. So you don't know, and until you go, oh my gosh, something's wrong. My husband was the one who pointed it out to me. He's like, something is very wrong. And I was like, I think you're right. So I went to go get help. But I don't think a lot of people have that even realization that something is wrong.
Well, they say that up to 80 to 90% of the serotonin production actually happens in your gut, which is like your happy, feel-good neurotransmitters. So did you notice, like after they removed a portion of your stomach, did you notice like your mood was definitely affected?
Oh, definitely. I was definitely altered. And I'm naturally like one of those happy people, just like naturally a happy person. And I was so like depressed. I sat and I cried a lot. And then also the emotional connection to food. You don't have that anymore. That used to be a comfort, and you don't have it anymore because you can't eat, because your stomach is now this big. So you can't eat. You can't enjoy the foods that used to bring you comfort. For me, I can't eat sugar, and I used to be a sugar addict. And so I can't eat a lot of sugar. And I used to like just have a piece of cake and I'll be fine. Well, no, that I couldn't do it anymore. Didn't have that comfort. Didn't have the comfort of my body naturally producing serotonin. Wasn't eating right. Didn't realize that wheat was having such a horrible effect on my mental state. Like I had no clue how much Wheat just tears me up mentally.
So tell me
And so
how you discovered that, because that's like kind of the elephant in the room these days is wheat.
yeah, and so a lot of people, it was me, my whole 30. When I did the whole 30 and I wiped everything clean, and I thought, oh, and I did it for a long time. It was a year. And I thought, okay, I should be able to go have some bread
Mm-hmm.
right now and have a piece of bread. And so I had a piece of bread and mental fog, just felt gross. My
Mm-hmm.
stomach, of course, messed up, but I just did not feel like I was firing on all cylinders. And then I was like, that was really weird. And I was like sad, like just sad. And I was like, okay, now that I've learned whatever we're putting in our bodies affects our bodies. When I
Mm-hmm.
learned that through, doing the whole 30 for so long, when I learned that, I was like, oh, what did I change? Oh, it was that bread. And I was
Hmm.
like, I'm not going to do that again. And so, of course, you think, I'm not going to do that again. And a few months later, birthday cake, I was like, I could have a bite or two. Wrong. So I learned the hard way because, of course, for me, I'm one of those people who I have to try things several times before I go, okay.
Totally.
So for me, wheat makes me it makes me foggy. It makes me depressed. I don't feel good at all. I'm sad in a way that I don't like feeling. If you're sad for a reason, okay, I'm sad for a reason. But when you wake up and you're just in a place where you're like, something is just not, it doesn't feel good. It just didn't feel good at all. So I knew that's what I needed to do, is to eliminate that. A lot of people think, oh, you're not gluten sensitive. And I'm like, yeah, my brain does not like
Yes.
it.
I have that same experience where you wake up and you just feel like this sense of gloom, but you can't
Yeah,
remember why like nothing bad happened. What's going on? Why do I feel gloomy and depressed?
right. And
Gluten, it hits the brain hard.
it hits me very, very hard. And
Hmm.
when you're off of it, it's like, I give the example, tell people, I say, it's like being out in the rain for your whole life. You're just sitting out in the rain, and then you finally come in and dry off, and you're dry and everything's great, and somebody flicks you with water. The first thing you're going to do is flinch, and you didn't even realize that you had been out in that rain all that long. You weren't flinching when you were out there, but when you come in, if somebody flicks you with water, you're going to flinch, and you're
Hmm.
like, well, that's the same reaction. I had been sick for so long that I didn't realize how sick I was until I came in, and then I had a little bit, and I was like, oh, I felt the difference. You get that little flick of water, and you really feel the difference. It makes you go, oh, wow, I was out in that for so long. And now in here, it's better.
So were there any other foods that you were able to reintroduce after the whole 30? Success,
Um,
like
I
dairy or
I can have dairy. I have raw. If I can only have raw milk. I can't have any other liquid milk. I can have cheese and I can have butter. Um, I introduced rice back into my diet, because I realized that my thyroid was nuts. It was going crazy, and I was so low carb for so long, and for me that wasn't good. Some
hmm.
women thrive low carb; they are fine. For me, it wasn't good. My T levels were just my thyroid was very angry with me,
Mm.
and so I reintroduced rice and white potatoes first, before they were all, before potatoes were considered paleo. And then I realized that I felt so much better with just a little bit of more carbs in my life. So I introduced those, and I'm fine. I haven't reacted. Um, and so that also taught me that I don't have to be so dogmatic,
Hmm.
have tendency to be very addictive. I have an addictive personality. And so when I find something, I want to do it to the fullest. I'm going to type A it.
Hmm.
I'm going to
Paleo perfection. Yep.
right,
Hmm.
doing the paleo perfection thing. And I wasn't a paleo police. It was just for me. I had to be just
Hmm.
perfect down to the letter. And so when I realized that my body didn't like that, it was like, what are you going to do? Are you going to be perfect? Or are you going to listen to your body? And I
Hmm.
was like, oh, I'm going to listen to my body. I learned that lesson the hard way. I need to listen to my body. So that's why I put those things back in. And I feel great. I feel so much better. It's funny because I've gained, some weight back, and I remember freaking out. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gaining weight again. But it's like, no, your body's now healthy.
Hmm.
Now your hormones are fine. You've gotten your boobs back because they were gone. They were like, bye, girl, bye. And my hips were gone. My boobs were gone. I looked like a little boy. And when I finally got my hormones back, to being steady. When I finally got my thyroid back to being normal, that's when I picked up at, and now I have my womanly figure. I look like a woman again. I've got my boobs back, so my husband's happy, so.
Well, I think we all have this weight that we gravitate towards. Like, I know in college, I lost some weight partly because I didn't have a food plan on campus and partly just because I was stressed and stuff. And it's like my body always wanted to get back up to that natural weight. And I just hover around this natural weight no matter what I do. So I just embrace that, It's like, I think for our hormones to work effectively, we need to stay at that correct weight for our body type.
Right. When I got down to, and I have a larger frame now, I'm Asian and Black, which means and Japanese at that, which means I have a tendency to have a larger frame. And by frame, I mean, like, you can even still see my bones. Like, I just have a larger bone structure. So for me to be very small is not healthy. Mm-hmm. And I gotten all the way down to like a size 0, 00, like, and that's not good for me. And I was like, well, I feel great. I'm finally a 0. I used to be a 24. I'm hot. And my body was like, no, we're not going to stay here. We don't like it. Mm-hmm. So when I got healthy, and I also think that the body image thing where people think they have to look like the girl in the magazine when the girl in the magazine doesn't even look like the girl in the magazine.
Exactly.
It's like, we are not all supposed to be exactly the same. We're all different for a reason, and what your body finds a healthy set point, that's where you have to be. And especially with gastric bypass people, once we drop way down, our mindset goes, okay, this is where I want to be. And then your body's naturally going to gravitate to where it has to be as long as you're eating right. I know a lot of people eat out around the surgery. So you've had the surgery, you're fine. After about a year, you can eat pretty much anything you want. It won't make you sick. And so people go back to the way that they were eating. And that if you go back to what you were doing, you're going to get what you got before. So that's why a lot of people who have had gastric bypass regain all of the weight or more over the course of about 3 to 4 years. It comes right back.
So you can go back to eating the big portion. I mean, I've only had post-op, immediate post-op, where I'm explaining to them, here's a medicine cup. This is what you can eat. So you can go back to the full portions again after a year.
About a year or so out, you can eat pretty much the same way you used to eat. It may be a little bit less, and even some people I've seen eat around the surgery before that year. So maybe they can only have this much, but they're going to eat that every hour until they way more than they should have eaten. And it's like, you don't need to eat like that. So for me, eating clean helps me to maintain where I'm, my weight loss. I was 260 pounds. And so that was like a size 24-ish. And I got all the way down to a 0. And now I'm right around a 6 or an 8. Sometimes a 10, depending on the brand manufacturer. But that too, especially in the winter. I mean, my body just likes to pack it on and be a little bit fluffier in the winter, and that's okay. It's okay. And so, but people tend to judge. They're like, and people feel judged because they're like, well, you had surgery and you lost weight, and now you gained it back, and you should feel bad. And then there's this guilt feeling, and then you want to eat your feelings, and it's like a horrible cycle. And if you're still not taking care of your brain, but either one, your gut or your physical brain, then that cycle can send you into a tailspin, and you will be right back where you were because you're doing the emotional eating. You're trying to diet, which dieting doesn't work. It's never going to work. And it makes it so bad. Like, it just becomes a really bad cycle. I mean, I've had people in some of my holistic group, in some of my gastric bypass groups who didn't have to. They had a revision, which basically means the doctor goes back in and cuts the stomach again. And so you end up, like you started out, you go back down. It's like, seriously, if you see that you feel like you need a revision, it's time to step back and go, okay, why? What's going on? It's not my body's fault. Don't punish my body. Something else is going on. What is it? So if some of your listeners are out there and they're like, I'm gaining weight, I'm afraid, I'm scared, it's time to step back and go, okay, why? For me, stress is not good for me. I break out and my eczema breaks out. Even if I'm eating as clean as possible, I'm working out, stress will take me down. Stress will make me gain weight. Stress will make my skin break out. Stress will make me have a cold. Stress will make me, stress is, and I know it's stress. And people don't put that importance that it really is very important to keep your stress levels down. That's why I completely stress EFT for people. I tell them it's a really great outlet. Like it has helped me so much to find those emotions that are causing me to stress, causing me to feel bad, causing the guilt, causing whatever, but to get to the root of that. So I always tell people EFT is great, meditation, but I know that some people say, okay, when I try to meditate, my mind goes to laundry and dishes, you know? And so EFT is where it's not where, it's easier for me to do EFT when I didn't know how to meditate, especially now that I know a lot more about meditation. That helps me tremendously. And even just getting outside and going for a walk, earthing helps me, putting my feet in the grass. And it's just things that people don't really consider, like stress, are things that will take you out. It's not necessarily about.
Stress is such a big killer. For those of you who aren't familiar with EFT, that's the emotional freedom technique. It's like a tapping technique to release emotions. And I actually interviewed Marie Holden, our personal practitioner, and she's on a previous episode, so you can go head over there and listen to that. I wanted to touch on something you talked about a little while back about reintroducing stuff. One of the things I find people are so hesitant to reintroduce is fats, because of that big fat phobia scare that came out. And it's so crazy because I'm Northern European descent, and we do really well on like heavy dairy fat, animal fat, like mostly fat, like almost ketogenic, like eat all the butter. And I had such an aversion to that. And I found that once I finally got over that and started eating coconut oil and tons of olive oil and butter and really fatty, good raw cheeses, I felt so much better. I actually lost weight because my body was like, yes, this is what we want. And it was a more efficient fuel than glucose. And my mood improved. So do you find that there were some foods that you reintroduced that actually helped with kind of that serotonin tank that you had after surgery?
Oh my gosh. So I wrote a book for people who are about a year out. And I said, don't read it unless you're a year out, because this is how you need to eat. And the first thing I say is fat, because the hormones that we produce, the only way they get around our body is fat. They don't travel around our body on blood cells. They travel around our body through fat. And so those feel good hormones, you need fat to get those around your body. And so I definitely had the fat phobia. I was like, wait a minute. So I'm supposed to put coconut oil in? That's like, and here I remember going, but that's hard fat. That's not good for us. Like, are you sure?
Oh yeah, saturated fat was just vilified. It still is.
Right. It still is, and that's what's crazy to me. It's like, how many eggs? Wait, should I just do egg whites because of the yolk? Not knowing that yolk had all those vitamins. Like, I had no clue. But when I did it, and even now I put coconut oil in my coffee. I'm coconut oil all day. It goes in my smoothies. I do butter, raw, but like just Kerrygold. I just love the bite butter. Yum.
Oh yeah.
I have to keep my daughter off of butter. But once I did that, I felt amazing. I think that is part of why the Whole30 was so good for me, because I had done low fat forever and ever and ever, and not realizing that not having enough fat it will make you tank. It makes you sad. It makes you cranky. You also, I know that, I don't know if you knew this, but a lot of post-ops lose hair. Like, you lose hair a few months out, your hair falls because your body's been stressed. You had a traumatic, and your hair is falling out. But one of the things I noticed that stopped that was when I upped my fat, because when my fat was too low, my hair didn't have anything my hair was just, the follicles didn't have enough fat around them to stay. So once I started eating more fat, my hair started getting better. My skin started looking amazing. I didn't look dry, and I felt so great. I also introduced collagen and gelatin into my daily diet, because as you are losing weight, or, first of all, as you're losing weight, your skin is obviously been stretched. So as you start to lose, then you end up with those, as I used to call them, bingo arms, fat arms, saggy skin everywhere. So with taking collagen and gelatin, learning about those things early on, help my skin to be tight. And so I don't have a lot of loose skin. I probably have I know I have some, but not a lot.
Awesome.
Where the doctor, yeah, where some people have to go and have a second surgery because they have so much. And yeah.
I've taken care of the patients who had the abdominoplasty, where it's like an incision all the way around their belly. Yeah, it's like you have a zipper.
Yeah, they have the panis. They have a panilectomy. I was going to have a panilectomy when I was a size 0. I'm so glad I didn't, because basically what that told me when I went in, I was like, should I have this cut? Because it was just skin hanging. And then I was like, wait a minute. Oh, I don't think I'm where I'm supposed to be. And when my body started to come back up, the skin just, went back to where it was supposed to go, because now I have fat on my body, which I should have had all along, So it's like you have to step back and go, is my body at a healthy weight? Am I healthy? It's not about weight, but am I healthy? And I wasn't. Even after surgery, even after I got as small as I could, I wasn't healthy. So that taught me a lot.
So you mentioned that you wrote a book for people who are 1 year out. Like, what are some of your best tips for pre 1 year out? Like for that first year, just getting through it. Like what can people do?
I would say, even in the hospital, when you're able to sip, because you're only on clear liquids, I would say bone broth. Bone broth, just sip all the bone broth you can, because you need everything in there. All the gelatinous, fatty goodness, you need all those minerals, you need everything in bone broth. So bone broth every day. I mean, even if you're like, I'm so sick of bone broth, I don't care, drink it.
I agree with that, yes.
Bone broth every single day. And that way, even if you can't get gelatin or can't get collagen, you get it in that bone broth. You're getting all those vitamins, all those minerals. I would also suggest that if you are not having fat, add healthy fats. If you're afraid of it, if you're like, oh, how am I going to react to coconut? Because sometimes, like for me, I've been cut up. I'll just put it that way. I don't have a gallbladder, right? So a lot of people, I had my gallbladder removed at the same time that I had RNY, because my gallbladder had stones in it. So a lot of people who've had RNY also have their gallbladder out too, and they're afraid of fat, because the gallbladder is what processes fat. But coconut oil doesn't act like a regular fat, so you should not react to it the way that you would react to maybe, let's say, duck fat, because duck fat might not work, so you might not feel as good, or tallow, you might not feel as good. But coconut oil doesn't work that way, because it's medium chain triglyceride. So since it's an MCT oil, you don't have to worry about your gallbladder having to process it as it would another fat.
And so it's an instant fuel. I use it when I run half marathons. It's instant. So if you're feeling hungry and tired, that would give you a pick-me-up.
Definitely gives you a pick-me-up. I also it's a sweet, so if you have a sweet tooth like I used to, then what I used to do is I would take a tablespoon of coconut oil, a tablespoon of raw honey, and some raw chocolate, and mix it up, and then eat that. Oh my God. It was like, it's delicious. It was the easiest fat bomb ever. You feel so much better. It's good for you. The raw honey also helps, especially if it's local. Like I'll do local honey because I had allergies, and I was trying to build that up. But local honey helps with my allergies, gives me a little boost. It's a nice little sweetener. And then you got all the instant boost from the coconut oil, and you got your chocolate, which gives you the magnesium. So you're feeling better. It's like, that's the kind of treats we need to have, that not like, my Weight Watchers 1-point cakes where I would get the whole box and eat the whole box. Well, it was only 10 points. So why not eat the whole box?
I know, that's the funny thing, like those 100-calorie packs. It's like, yeah, it's 100 calories of not food, though. It's frankenfood. Like, there's not one nutritional value point to it at all.
At all.
That's why, and the thing is people are like, oh, why am I so hungry and why am I still gaining the weight? It's because your body thinks it's starving because it's getting zero nutrients. So it's like, hold on to any fuel source that we get. And then once you switch to nutrient dense, your body is satiated and the weight just falls off.
Yeah, like I love pate, and I know like a lot of people are like, ew, now, oh my gosh. I could eat tons and tons and tons of pate. Just give it to me. I could just eat it. And it's so like, people are like, but it's liver. I'm like, It is delicious. I love pate.
I can't stand it, but I appreciate how nutritionally dense liver is. So I puree liver, quality grass-fed liver, and sardines, and I freeze it in ice cube trays, and then I put a bag of that in my freezer, and every night I take out one of my cubes and put it in a dish in the fridge, and every morning I eat that scoop of raw liver and sardines because it's selenium, it's omegas, it's vitamin D, B vitamins. It's like nature's multi. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't like it. It tastes horrible.
I love sardines. So I'll eat a can of sardines and give me sardines all day, smoked. Oh my God. Oh, so good. You're like, ew.
I force it down every morning. I just dread it. I just chase it with Ningxia Red right away. But I mean, when I stop doing it, I notice a change in my mood. I think it's the B vitamins and the omegas just kind of give me a little boost. So I faithfully do it every single morning.
Now that's what I tell gastric bypass people too, is omegas are your friend. Like they stop so much of the inflammation that's already going on in our bodies. They help with just like mood. I remember learning about omegas, and then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna eat everything that has omega-3s in it. I'm gonna eat sardines every single day. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And I used to have horrible cramps. Oh my God. Like PMS I was down for a day, basically. I already knew I was gonna call in sick. I wasn't going to work because I was gonna have cramps and I was gonna be throwing up and I was gonna be sick. It's gone. I don't do that anymore.
That's awesome.
I don't have any cramps at all. Like not one. I don't even know when I have it on my calendar. So it's coming up at some point, so I better put it on my calendar because I don't know when it's coming anymore. And it's like, who knew that changing just your diet, releasing some, and then changing a little bit of my lifestyle with not having so much stress would make an amazing change, especially after that surgery. Like the surgery, you don't realize what it's doing until you're like, oh, wait a minute. That's from the surgery.
So you had talked about being married to your kitchen and meal prep. I know that's a lot of hang up for people because maybe they have zero background in cooking. Maybe they grew up on everything from a box. They don't know what to do. They're totally intimidated. So how did you, first of all, get out of the kitchen because you don't want to be surrounded by food because you're dealing with this surgery where you can't be eating all this food, but you're still cooking it. How did you minimize all of that time so that you could still eat healthy but not spend your life in the kitchen?
So my husband's grandfather is a chef first. And so I was like, there's no way that he prepped every single meal, every single time for every single person that walked into that restaurant every single night. I'm like, they would never serve anybody. They would serve like 5 people a night. So I was like, what do you do to prep? Like, what do you do to make it faster to get your dinner's out? Like, how do you get that out? And so he's like, oh, I prep this, I prep that, I do this, I chop that, I put this in the refrigerator the day before, and no. And I'm thinking, you can do that ahead of time? And so I was like, wait a minute. So I started talking to other chefs and other people who were professionals, and I'm like, how do you do that too? Whoa, that's faster. And so I started looking at all of my recipes. I would meal plan, but we all know that meal planning wasn't enough. That was what I would do to put a piece of paper on the refrigerator and buy the groceries. But I was still in the kitchen forever. So I was like, okay, I'm going to plan. I'm going to take these recipes. I'm going to see how I can prep them ahead of time. And I'm going to see how long it takes me to prep them. So I'm going to take a day and I'm going to prep my whole week. And so I did that and I prepped my entire week. And it took me about 2 hours the first time. But I was like, wait a minute, my whole week of dinners is done. I don't have to really do anything this week. When I come home, I already know what I'm eating. It's already chopped up. I just throw it in the pan. 20 minutes later, dinner's done. Or it's already in the crock pot, or it's already in the freezer, or it's already just done. It's like, oh, wait a minute. And so I was like, people need to know about this. And so that's how I created 20 dishes. And so that's what I was like, okay, this is more than a meal plan. It's more than recipes and shopping lists. It is the step-by-step prep to get you in and out of the kitchen. So no matter what recipe you pick on the site, you have the steps to get it prepped ahead of time. And so that is it's like Blue Apron or Sunbasket or any of those, but it's DIY. It's cheaper.
And my phone is ringing on my computer. Sorry about that. That was my husband.
Sure.
I know, it's just amazing. Like when I first heard of 20 dishes, like, cause I've done meal plans before and I agree, like it sounds really great and like you get the list and everything, but it's still, you still have to have cooking skills. Like you still
Right.
have to know how to turn those recipes into something. And what you guys did, which is so genius, is it's just like, okay, here's what you buy, but then here's how you prep it all so that it's not so insane, intimidating, and you don't have to have this like chef background, you know?
Right.
Like I just think it would be brilliant for like college kids and stuff, because I remember some of the first meals I made out of college, you know, after I left the meal stuff at, you know, and had to cook my own food, and it was just disgusting, you know, like to have those skills right away. I mean, that would be a great thing for like all college students and, well, anybody. I mean, I just think it's amazing. And
Yeah,
you
it
guys,
helps a
you
lot.
guys have it for autoimmune, gluten-free, paleo.
Yeah, we have it for paleo, autoimmune, gluten-free, vegetarian, and just clean eating. If you're just like, I don't follow a diet, I just kind of want to eat clean. So we have
Mhm.
that as well. And there's nothing out of a box. There's nothing canned. And I mean, I'm sure you've seen these around the internet where they're like 5 ingredient meal, and three of the ingredients are cream of chicken soup,
Mhm.
top stuffing, and you're like, wait a minute, this is not, it's not clean. What the heck is in that can of soup?
Yeah, that's
So
not an ingredient. That's a whole list of ingredients,
right.
you know?
So we don't have anything like that. If we tell you it's 5 ingredients, it's literally 5 fresh ingredients. And
Yeah.
it's, not gonna take you forever because it's 5 fresh ingredients and not 5 canned or weird things. And
Well, and
so
you do fun things because I follow your 20 Dishes Facebook page, and you do amazing things like that mayo video that like went viral because you make mayo in a jar with an immersion blender, and that's just flipping brilliant. Because if anybody has gone to the store and tried to buy healthy mayo,
oh God.
you can't find it. Even the olive oil mayo, the first thing in it is soybean oil or canola oil. Like you can't find healthy mayo.
Right, and find some mayo that doesn't have maltodextrin in it. I'm like, what the? Why do you need that?
Hmm.
Literally, mayo is eggs, it's vinegar, it's oil, it's salt, it's mustard. That's it. Like,
Hmm.
I'm like, I don't understand why people have to have this hard mayo. And people, it's so funny, and it was sort of eye-opening for me on that mayo video that has, went nuts, went viral. There are people who are like, are raw eggs safe to eat? Are raw eggs supposed to be a mayo? And I'm like, yeah, they should be a mayo. And it made me go, oh my gosh, people are so disconnected of what is in their food. Like,
Hmm.
so you just don't know what's in it. And that is why another reason why 20 Dishes is we're so passionate about getting people back in the kitchen, getting back to real food, knowing what is in your food and what you're putting in your mouth. Because that is one of the main reasons why so many people are sick. I mean, type 2 diabetes.
Hmm.
Really? That's something that's reversible, it's avoidable, and it's something that you can do just by changing your diet and changing your lifestyle. Just move a little bit more and eat better. That's it.
Well,
Like,
and those kitchen hacks that you do, exactly. Those kitchen hacks that you do, the mayo, I mean, it's full of healthy fats and really good stuff. And if you can make that mayo in 5 minutes and have a big old jar of mayo, you can make, like you said in the video, you can make egg salad, you can make tuna salad, and then you just make that and you wrap it up in a big old romaine lettuce leaf and you have
oh,
lunch. I mean, it's so simple, and people just need to know, they need, first of all, to be educated on what real good healthy food is, and then that it really isn't so hard to make. You look on Instagram, you see all these meals and they're so fancy. You don't have to eat like that. Believe me,
ah,
my meals, some of them
mm-mm.
they're not that pretty, but they're
No,
healthy and they're delicious and they make me
yeah.
satisfied and healthy.
And that's what I tell them too, and on my videos on Facebook or wherever it's not Food Network, it's home. It
Hmm.
doesn't have to be
The family table.
presented on plate, plated this way. You get 10
Hmm.
points for plating, you get 10 points for design. It's not the way it works in real life. You know where your points come from? Did you get food on the table? Was it healthy? That's it. Was it
Hmm.
delicious? Oh, it was. Wow, points for that.
Did you sit down with your family and look at them and talk to them without a device while you ate it?
Oh my gosh, you
You
did
know?
not have to pull it out of a bag. What?
Yeah.
So
No,
it's that's totally it.
yeah, it's um so yeah, so 20 dishes. I mean, I'll put all the links to all this stuff below, but I think you guys should really follow the Facebook page that they have, because she does all kinds of Facebook live videos that are just like awesome kitchen hacks, totally change your life. Learning how to do the Instant Pot, which I turned you onto the Instant Pot, but the
You
Instant
did.
Pot has changed both of our lives. And I just think it's so important. We shouldn't have to spend all of our time in the kitchen to make healthy meals. It's important to make healthy meals, but family is also super important. We need to spend time
So
with our
important.
kids. We can't just live at the
Right.
stove.
I mean, I get my kids in the kitchen because, of course, that's a skill that I want to pass on to them as well.
Yeah.
And I told, but by Instant Pot, let me just tell you how life-changing oh my God, I made beef stew yesterday with sweet potatoes and parsnips and, onions and like the cheap stew meat, right? Cheapest stew meat.
Oh, yeah. Turns it into
I,
amazing meat.
oh my gosh. Okay. I was in love because it took me 12 minutes. First of all, it was 12 minutes of pressure. And then, of course, I let the pressure naturally release because that makes it even more tender, just juicy. I'm telling you, my husband was like, when did we get this? And I was like, I love this thing. He was like, this is so good. This is ridiculously good. And since I had prepped ahead all the stuff for my stew, all I had to do was throw it in the pot. I didn't have to do anything else.
It's the greatest
I was like,
thing.
throw it in the pot, put some bone broth, some red wine, a couple bay leaves. I was just like, oh boy, this is delicious.
It's a game changer. And my husband likes it because it's like a gadgety thing. So he does stuff in the Instant Pot too. So it's changed our marriage, man. I mean, it's like I threw out my crock pot because they leach lead, so my crock pot's gone. All I have is a clay slow cooker and my Instant Pot. That's it. And it's even a rice cooker, yogurt maker. I mean, it does everything.
Yeah, I was like, I'm in love with this thing. And so I had a friend who's been seeing my posts on Facebook because I'm like, Instant Pot, oh my God, I love this thing. And they're like, are you a representative? And I'm like, no, but I love it.
I know. I think I've probably sold hundreds of them over since I got mine by posting on Facebook and stuff. But yeah, no, I don't. Not affiliated with the company in any way.
No, I'm like, no, not at all. I'm like, that's not even, I don't know. I just love this thing. If I can help somebody make their time in the kitchen easier, that's where I get happy. So if I find something like Instant Pot, like you gave me about that, and it's making my life easier in the kitchen, I'm like, everyone should have one. You get an Instant Pot and you get an Instant Pot.
Totally. Oh, when I'm a multimillionaire, I'm going to do that Oprah style. I'm giving everybody an Instant Pot.
I'm going to do the same thing.
All right. So I have a few questions that I like to ask all my guests. And at the most basic level, what is one simple and important step that people can do to get back on track with their health? Baby steps.
Baby steps. I mean, and I tell people the baby steps, whatever is the lowest hanging fruit for you. Because if lowest hanging fruit for you is to stop eating candy first, you're just going to cut out candy. Okay. If it's to stop drinking soda, if it's to cut back on the number of times you eat out, whatever that lowest hanging fruit is, start there and then find the next lowest hanging fruit and do that thing. And then find the next lowest hanging fruit. For me, I am very type A. I'm one of those people who is all or nothing. So when people ask me, how did you get started? I'm like, you don't want to do what I did, because what I did is I came home and I emptied my pantry and I emptied all the bad stuff and I threw it all away, donated all the other stuff. And I was like, this is how we're eating. And that was it. That's not what most people should do, because it's not sustainable. That's not what most people would do. Do whatever you can sustain. If it's drinking more water, if it's replacing soda with kombucha, do that. That is very healthy. And that's how I got my husband off of soda, was to bring in kombucha and water kefir, Kavita. And so he was able to stop drinking soda. That was his first step. And then he was like, hey, I feel better. What else can I do to feel better?
Yes.
So that's what I would tell everybody, is to do whatever you can do that is easy. And it doesn't have to be hard. A lot of times we think, if it's not no pain, no gain. Well, that's not true. Whatever is easiest for you to stop doing right now, stop doing that. And then move to the next thing.
And it's like a gateway to the next thing. Because like you said, he felt better. And then he's like, what else can I do? That's true. If you do one step, then you want to naturally progress to the next step. So I think that's great.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the most detrimental influence on our health today? Like, what is causing the most concern for our general public?
For me, it's sugar. Sugar is scaring me right now because I'm reading the scientific reports. I'm seeing that it feeds cancer cells. I'm seeing that it does so much more damage than we thought. And so for me, it's sugar, processed sugar, not just, oh, you had maple syrup, not that, but that processed white table sugar, that's just gross. The high fructose corn syrups, for me, agave, I don't think that one is a good one for most
Too
people.
high in fructose.
Right. And that affects the liver, and just, it's like the thing that has been vilified for so long was fat. We should be vilifying sugar. We should really be taking a hard look at sugar, the amount of sugar that we're consuming. I mean, even if you look at those sports drinks that are supposed to be so good for people after they're working out, I'm like, that has 4 teaspoons of sugar in that one bottle. Sugar.
Mm-hmm.
What do you need 4 teaspoons of sugar for, And you're drinking bottle after bottle after bottle, and it's like, I think something's really going on here with sugar. So for me, I've cut back a lot, not only because I can't handle it, but my kids, they don't drink those sports drinks. They don't get a lot of sugar outside of, like, I might juice something for them. We might have some, Outshine bars, maybe. They don't get a lot of sugar, because I'm thinking that could be a very big player in a lot of the health issues today. I mean, diabetes, and now finding out that it feeds, like I said, cancer cells. I was like, ooh, maybe we should really take a look at sugar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so pervasive. I mean, with that low fat trend, fat gives flavor, so that they remove fat, they have to add more sugar to make it taste good. So it's like everywhere. And think about kids' breakfast cereal. They start their day with sugar. I know, I completely agree. So tell everybody where they can find you online and otherwise.
I am everywhere. 20dishes.com is where I usually hang out. Facebook, 20 Dishes. You can also find me at Orleatha on Facebook. I'm Orleatha, you're going to find me. And so I'm there, and that's most of the time where I'm at, either 20 Dishes in the community or just hanging out on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram, of course, because I'm taking pictures of all the Instant Pot. Like, it's so funny. Lately, it's like, I'm even going to record how quiet it is, because my mom I'm telling you, her pressure cooker used to scare me when I was little. Like,
so noisy, like a train was coming through or something. Yeah.
Right, that last thing, I was like, oh my God, the thing's going to blow. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you can find me on Instagram and around Facebook. That's usually where I'm hanging out.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. This is vital information. I mean, I think the gastric bypass population really needs this information too. So thank you so much. And thank you for putting together 20 Dishes. It's changed my life as well.
Thank you for hanging out with me, for having me. It's been so much fun. I love talking to you. You know that.
Oh, yes. We could talk for hours.
Thank you for listening in to Real Food RN Wellness Podcast today. By tuning in regularly, you will begin to take your healthful lifestyle into your own hands and develop an empowered attitude about yours and your family's life. If you want to be the first to know about the latest news, recipes, and healthy living tips, then go to www.realfoodrn.com and sign up today.